studios in Oklahoma City. You're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. You can go online anytime and order your pizza at papajohns.com. It's time for our 5 and 5 segment, Barry. 5 topics, about a minute each for those 5 minutes. We're going to go all over the sports map, but let's start with this one. Finish this sentence, Barry. The Thunder got Dion Waiters because?
Because they could. I mean, it's basically free money. It's found money. They got a scorer guy that averaged 15 points a game last year for basically Lance Thomas and a future late first-round pick that's going to be in the 20s in all probability. So basically, it was a great deal. Now, the question is, what do you do with him when you get him?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not sure the Thunder does. It's a little bit like Trish the Dish. Sometimes she'll be shopping, and she'll just buy something. I'll say, what's that for? And she said, I don't know. I don't. Somebody might need it sometime. It might make a good present. I'll just have it laying around and ready to go. So I think that's what the Thunder did. I'm not sure they got a plan for Dion Waiters yet. But the fact is, he's an interesting ball player. There's things he can do, mainly score. And, you know, they'll figure it out later.
Yeah, well, and I think that the question of what they do with him is the great question. And the Thunder got Dion Waiters in my mind because, you know, as Barry said, they could, but also because if you're going to have guys off the bench who don't play any defense, you might as well have the best non-defensive playing shooter you can. And frankly, Dion Waiters looks like a step up from Jeremy Lamb or Reggie Jackson when it comes to his outside shooting. So he may not play much more defense than those guys, but he looks like he may score it better. So if you're gonna not play much defense off the bench, why not have the best shooter you can out there? All right, Barry, what about this one? Finish this sentence. The most interesting thing going about OU football is?
Here's what stuns me. The most interesting thing about OU football is the Sooners have given the fans what they want. Now, outside of victory and results, you can't really control that, but what did OU football fans want? They wanted Bob Stoops to be contrite. They wanted him to fall on his sword. They wanted him to come out in sackcloth and ashes and say, I've been terrible, we stink. He sort of did that yesterday.
He didn't sort of do that, Barry. He absolutely. He didn't use the word embarrassing, but
no, he didn't.
Other than that, he was close.
And 2, they wanted the head of Josh Heupel. And there it was. Bob Stoops delivered it to him. The fans got yesterday was fan day. Forget that Meet the Sooners in July or August. Yesterday, Tuesday, was fan day at OU. The fans got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the most interesting thing going about OU football right now is what is the offense going to look like? Now, I know that a lot of people want to talk about defense, and clearly there's something to be talked about there with, you know, Mike Stoops keeping his job, guys like Tim Kish, Bobby Jack Wright not getting axed as many thought they might. But I think the question of what is OU offensively going to look like when they run out on the field next year, I think that's really interesting because Bob Stoops, it seemed to me like he knew pretty well what he wanted in his next offensive coordinator, what system he wanted. He wasn't sharing that with us, but clearly he said, throwing the ball is our priority. Running is a bonus. When's the last time you heard a coach say that, Barry? And you've got Samaje Perine and an offensive line that's been pretty good. And Joe Mixon, you're assuming Joe Mixon's going to be in that backfield too, so running's a bonus. So what's this offense going to look like? I think this is going to be a chance for fans to get fired up here in the next week or 10 days as they hire a new offensive coordinator. All right, Barry, let's go to Stillwater and ask the same question. The most interesting thing about OSU football is? Is
the movie script that they've unveiled. On Christmas, I can't remember if it's Christmas Eve or Christmas night, we ended up with just sitting around with nothing to do, and It's a Wonderful Life is on. And so we watched it, and if you remember, the difference between Pottersville and Bedford Falls, when Clarence takes Jimmy Stewart back and lets him see what life is like without him, and it's just destitute, no hope. Everybody's in bad shape. Everybody's down, and then all of a sudden, he's back to being Jimmy Stewart. Everything's great in Bedford Falls. Overnight, OSU football went from Pottersville to Bedford Falls. No future, no quarterback.
No excitement. No excitement.
Not even sure your coach wanted to be around. Then all of a sudden, you're a Big 12 contender in 2015. You got a star quarterback. Your coach is the most popular guy on campus again and taking selfies with the media and doing all kinds of stuff. Just overnight, It's like it went from black and white to color.
Miraculous.
It's just a Christmas miracle. That's what it was.
Well, it's a bedlam miracle, I think, is what we can really tie it back to. But to me, the most interesting thing about OSU football, except for the transformation, well, of the program, is the transformation of the head coach. I mean, let's remember, it was Bedlam week. It was Bedlam Monday when Mike Gundy rolls into his weekly press conference and leaves media and fans and the college football world scratching their heads, thinking, what is wrong with Mike Gundy? He's checking his cell phone during the press conferences. He says he won't talk about personnel or coaches or basically anything football related. I mean, it was a half hour of my life. I felt like I'll never get back. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was worried about his mental health, frankly. And now it's all fixed.
He's great. He's great.
I don't know what to make of any of this.
Clarence. I think Clarence the Angel.
All right, Barry, our fun question of the week. What is Dallas-Fort Worth's next sports apocalypse? Okay, a couple years ago, they hosted the Super Bowl, ice storm. Then the Cowboys win a playoff game over the weekend. Now earthquakes shaking the metro. College football championship game is on Monday in Dallas-Fort Worth, so what can we expect?
Here's what I believe will happen. In September, in this part of the country, Southwest, Oklahoma, Texas, we've seen it. Infestations of crickets, massive crickets descend upon the, I think there are mutant crickets laying in wait, and I think they are going to be ice crickets will descend upon DFW come Monday night, maybe Tuesday morning, maybe not even get planes out on Tuesday morning at DFW because too many ice crickets on the runway. I think you're going to see ice crickets in Dallas next week.
Are you thinking they're going to fall on the roof at Jerry World? Could it like block out the sun?
No, I
think
they might cover the big screen. How's that? Cover the big screen.
I don't know what the next sports apocalypse is in Dallas-Fort Worth, but I think if you're going to the national championship game on Monday, and frankly, it's only 3 hours down the road from Oklahoma City, Barry, you'll be there. I think you need to take precautions. I don't know what, hip waders, boots.
You got to tell me. You got to give me some clues.
Well,
I'm taking insect repellent for my theory. You got to give me some clues.
Hip waders.
For yours.
Hip waders.
I don't even know what hip wader is. That like what
That's like if you're fishing.
What you fishing on?
Yeah. In case it gets high and deep.
Seems awfully cumbersome.
All right, let's get back to the serious stuff. Hey, finish this sentence, lastly, Barry. College basketball is worth watching because
January has arrived, which means you're going to get good games on campus, which you don't get in November and December. So in Norman, in Stillwater, you're going to get some good games to watch and enjoy. Conference play is always interesting. And frankly, what an opening week for the Sooners and Cowboys. Monday night, Oklahoma goes to Texas and spanks the Longhorns. Beat them by 21 points. OU's first win, a true road win over a top 10 team in 22 years. And then OSU goes to Ames and scares the socks off of Iowa State. 17th ranked Cyclones, Cowboys lose by 2, have a shot to win at the last possession. So there's reason for hope in terms of OSU being competitive. There's reason for hope in terms of OU winning the Big 12. I'm sort of intrigued by college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's excitement because we get to this time of year and there's usually a little letdown. Football's over. How long till football season? The Thunder's kind of in, that winter time lull. But frankly, this first week of Big 12 action for the locals, I'm kind of fired up about college basketball too. I think it's worth watching around here because these teams are going to be exciting. I don't have any idea where they're going to finish. I don't know if OU is good enough to unseat Kansas as the long-term Big 12 champ. I don't know if OSU is good enough to get into that upper half of the Big 12. I think they're good enough to make the NCAA tournament, but I think it's going to be exciting. I think these teams are going to have some ups and downs, and frankly, you may want to pull your hair out a little bit, but that's exciting if you like watching stuff. So I think it's exciting. I think that's reason enough to watch. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.